I wanted to sit down and just like, we have amazing conversation in here anyway. We're just like, when we're not making music. So I thought, why don't we just like whack a camera on and reason?
I personally am thankful that I was bullied.
This is gonna sound a bit like conspiracy-ish, yeah, but I think that the whole school system, it programs them to how they want us to be, do you know what I mean?
It's the same rules really as the playground.
Yeah, big time.
Just people are in suits and shit.
90% of people who come through this door have these traits.
Yeah.
Because music people generally kind of...
Something magnetic
They got
thing.
something going on.
Yeah.
Steeze Factory.
Factory Settings, we're in the Steeze Factory, me, ToddlaT, two of my favourite people that pass through regular to make music. Jordan Stevens and LZee and the Peasy.
Come on, come on.
And today, this book is going to be the glue of the conversation because LZee, who I have a toothbrush in the cupboard for because sometimes he comes in after a night out and hasn't really had much sleep. So the fact that he managed to focus on a book and meds into it, I thought was A, amazing, but B, amazing that it was your book.
Yeah, mad. It's mad.
Because I love this book. I know you probably relate to this book. What locked you into it?
My mum just got it for me for Christmas.
Right.
And then like, I was doing Christmas at my grandma's house in the countryside, innit? So there wasn't really that much to do when I got back to her house. So then I just laid in the bed. I kind of just thought like, what can I do that's actually, that I might be proud of rather than just scrolling through like, it's like Insta, innit? Yeah. And I just started reading it, and in the first sitting, I read 100 pages. And I was like, and literally, there's been so many times in the last couple of years where I've tried to pick up a book, because my dad always gets me books, and I'll get in like 5 pages in, just put it down. So like, it surprised me that I started, like, I got like 20 pages, then I got to like 40, then I was like, oh, like, maybe I could do 100 or something. Just went straight through it, literally, bro. But it's just because it's mad relatable for me, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
what really like resonated with you about this? Because there's loads of stuff in here for me.
do you know what? Like, it was so weirdly like relatable for man. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like growing up in London as a mixed race youth, like you see that like maybe not being black enough for the black people, not being white enough for the white people, then all the relationship stuff, and then like the stuff that you was talking about with like drugs and that, and partying and all that stuff, and then even just to writing music, do you know what I mean? ADHD, all of that. It's like literally most of the book I was relating with, do you know what I mean? So it was very weird.
Would you say, have you had your heart broken yet?
I haven't had my heart broken in it, which is like, it's on the flip side, because I feel like I've done some girls wrong in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I've got bad karma in the love world.
Is it pending?
I feel like it's pending still.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
but
gonna
heartbreak's
get me.
always pending.
It's mad.
Heartbreak's always pending.
Yeah.
But what you said, early 20s, innit? So
Yeah.
it wouldn't, it'll hit you at some point, a few years.
For me, it's the honesty, Jordan. It's knowing you as a person. It's no different from you sat here.
Yeah.
And I think, like, particularly for blokes in Britain, to be honest, it takes some balls.
Yeah.
And I know that's who you are anyway. But I was laughing out loud, and you were saying things that people just wouldn't dare.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's your character too. But it's just brilliant. And also, you're just advocating so much like things that people daren't say.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think I like to hear that for Elle, it was like a situation where he doesn't usually read books. That's actually the overwhelming feedback I've had generally, is that the majority of positive feedback is that people who struggle to read or don't normally read have found it easy to read this. And I reckon it's, alongside the themes for you, literally the way I wrote it, I tried not to use too many commas. It's constant full stops, because I know that I switch off so quickly if I'm not alerted. And for me, those full stops are like trying to keep people awake, and it's propulsive. It's like pushing people through. So to get the validation of people saying that actually kept them reading is massive. And then ironically, the negative feedback I've had are from people who read a lot and
really?
they find it jarring, because they're so used to the other, because a lot of what I write isn't grammatically correct in terms of how I'm spacing the sentences. You're always told to not start sentences with and or but. Like, I'd say like 75% of my sentences start with and or but. But I didn't care, because I knew what would keep me in it. Also, as a lyricist yourself, you know that people have said that there's a rhythm to it, and
it's mad. There is.
Yeah.
Like some bits are like poetry.
Yeah, big time.
You know what I mean?
But I wasn't even necessarily trying to do that. That was the only way I could access the thoughts I wanted to access.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things to do was to keep myself out of the way. So in terms of the kind of brutal honesty, that was because I was trying not to think about anything. I was just, the practice was, write it out.
You know what? Yeah, I feel like the way you wrote it was kind of like someone just telling me a story. Do you know what I mean? Like saying I was at anywhere with a friend or something. It's like you're just chatting to your brethren or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really it. That was the whole vibe. Is, you know, some people write about their stories with a slight past tense, so they'll be talking about, you know, when I was this age, this happened, and then that happened. Where with this, I made the conscious choice. It's like, this is happening. So I'm like, I walked into this room. I walk into this room. I see this. I wanted people to join me on the journey, which obviously Els picked up on, which I love that. You know, that's, you know, I wanted people to grow with me throughout the book because, you know, I start from a place of confusion, and then by the end of it, I feel like I have a slightly better understanding of love, which is, I'd say it's a bit of a taboo subject for straight men nowadays anyway. Just talking about love in a sense that is a good thing to have. Do you feel that way?
Do you know what, yeah? Like for me, like whether it's like friendships or like relationships or anything, like I've grown up in a household where we speak about stuff, do you know what I mean? Like where like I've had people I can speak to, and I've always felt like in my friendship groups, like I've always been the one who's like trying to egg on people to tell me how they're feeling.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Sick.
Because it's like, even like some friendships I've had for years, like because they know how I am and I'm gonna get out of you, like whatever's wrong or whatever. If I've got something wrong, then I'll go straight to someone, like call them straight away.
Really?
And speak to them about it. Because obviously I feel like I've just grown up knowing that if I get things off my chest, I feel so much better. Do you know what I mean? Oh, sorry about that.
Someone belling you now, say it on the hill.
Therapy line.
But yeah, not even like one of my friends, she never used to want to talk about anything and stuff like that. And you see that she's like one of my best friends, innit? So like literally like, even when we used to hug or something, like she used to like tapping my, like patting my back and that. I'm like, bruv, when we hug, don't pat my back, bruv. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
proper hug.
this is love, do you know what I'm saying? And then, but now she's literally like, she seems to think that maybe like it's not better for her, like speaking about stuff. But obviously, like when she does, I can see that.
Why does she think that?
I don't know. I guess it's just like
The way she was raised.
Yeah, maybe the way she was raised, like going through stuff and that, like sometimes like when you learn to suppress your feelings and that, I guess you feel like that's the best way of coping, innit? But
it's interesting you say that, because I'm sure you'll agree, we get fed certain stories, or we're led to believe that so many things are gendered, or that like men and boys are set on a path, girls and women are set on a path. And already, with you just talking about your specific scenario, you've countered like so many messages that we're led to believe. But I've seen this. You know, you have a girl, a platonic girlfriend, platonic girl, mate, best friend.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I forgot what platonic meant.
Sorry, like it
Very platonic. Yeah.
No, but for real, like people, listen, in the last few years, what people are saying that girls and boys can't be friends. I've never agreed with that.
No.
Yeah, but you have that, and then the girlfriend that you have, she is the one who's more stoic. She's the one who is struggling to show her emotion.
Yeah. It's mad.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting.
So it pushes at the idea that, you know, yeah, cool, so there are certain trends with genders, but ultimately it's the individual person, isn't it? It's what's she gone through to make her feel that.
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Yeah, I really just feel like it's like she just learned to cope with like not speaking about stuff for so long that she just feels like that's the best way to be. But then obviously recently she has, no, not even recently, over the last like year or something. Because even when we're like on a night out or whatever with people, then when we go to the afters or whatever, we'll all speak about stuff, innit? Like obviously there'll be to certain afters where people are just chatting, and then certain after people are dancing. I feel like we do half and half, innit?
Yeah,
so we'll get to a point in the night where we're all speaking about shit. Like,
yeah, normally about 3 a.m. innit?
You know what I mean?
In the kitchen.
The realness comes out.
Literally. And then we'll all be chatting about stuff and like how we're feeling and that. And I feel like we do that quite often, to the point where it's kind of like therapy for us, you know what I mean? Where we're kind of like all just speaking to each other about everything, do you get me?
So you don't feel like you could, yeah, that's interesting. Was that the same for you?
What, with like opening up and that?
Yeah, growing up.
Oh, big time. I'm from Sheffield, mate.
Yeah.
You don't talk about all. Yeah. And also you reference your elders, don't you, subconsciously, and I think the chef's very like that. I think for me it was like, because I did talk therapy for years and it didn't resonate, ironically. It was good because it led me to certain places and spaces in terms of like where I could then feel like I could get some sort of healing. But the talk thing for me, bizarrely, I don't know, it doesn't always resonate as with other people. I'm open, I'm more honest than I've ever been. I think it's to do with age and comfort. Yeah. I'm not really ashamed of much now. Like I was growing up and stuff. So if something's there, I'll say it, but I don't necessarily say it for relief. You know what I mean? the ADHD aspect, like I did a podcast with my wife Annie about my diagnosis, and it kind of like lit the internet up because it was in COVID and stuff. It was right interesting for me because it were like so many traits of it were more important than the diagnosis. And one thing that I struggle with is the kind of rejection. It's called RSD.
RSD, yeah,
which
crazy.
is
rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Right.
But I only just learned about that.
Yeah, which is basically like any rejection kind of stings a bit more than an average person. So making music, it's the worst because your whole thing's judged, right?
Yeah.
No, all entertainment.
Yeah.
Arguably all entertainment.
So you, as a actor, host, musician, do you feel that type of thing?
Bruv, listen, the only way I can put it like this, is like I've had the career where I've ended up doing multiple disciplines. Like, you know, some I really want to, like writing a book means the world. Music, I love, like it's just in me, I'll always make music. But even other things, presenting and acting, for example, that wasn't necessarily the plan. Like I like talking on podcasts, but presenting and acting, I fell into, right? That shit, if I was to just drop one, it'd be that.
Yeah.
Because the rejection people feel that they face in acting, I just couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
And the most heartbroken I've ever been from something has been to do with acting.
Got it.
Because it was like, you know, the whole thing in that world is, you know, I can be in the last three, or I can be near a job. I can nearly get something, and I can fall in love with something. Like I can like fall in love with a character in a project and other people on it, and then suddenly I don't have the job.
Yeah.
And in music, if you have this, at least it made me actually grateful for shit like music, because at least in music, if you put out a rhythm and then it doesn't do well, you go, fuck that, I'll make another one. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I'm gonna go.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah. There's no response. Actors, this is why this is why actors are actually. I keep a distance, but you know, obviously the actors I love, but. You know, you see actors lose it because they're employed and unemployed instantly.
Got it.
Like if you don't get a job, you're unemployed. Yeah. Even a big actor, you know, if you're big, you get offered things all the time. But more time, you do a job and then you're waiting until someone else asks you if you want to do something.
Yeah, right.
Like it's insane. The power. So that was for me the rejection. I struggled so much with the rejection of that. Yeah. That like a lot of the time I try and tell my agents I don't want to do any more of it. But
you're just not ready for the rejection.
But like. I'd say that RSD thing, when I first heard about it, it made more sense to me in terms of I couldn't let like an injustice go. That was interesting. So it'll be tiny. That's where that's a big thing in it. Losing an acting job, I think people can relate to that. I think where it really shows up for people with ADHD is it'll be like an interpersonal thing. So, I'm trying to think of like an example off the cuff, but you make someone a cup of tea. And then they'll be like, oh, sorry, I've got to go. But they've already asked for it like 15 minutes before. Like that moment can be dropped, but there's a chance that like, you're like, but you asked for the tea. Do you know what I mean?
They just linger.
And it might linger.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Well, that's what I thought, because your heartbreak in this is just so brilliantly honest again. Yeah. I've had people around me when I was growing up who had girlfriends and dropped girlfriends and they kind of snap back quite quick. Yeah, I've been in a few situations where I could relate to the length of that healing process, and I can't help but think that's an element of that.
You know what's so crazy is when I heard that, my book's already out. When I found out about this RSD thing, I'd already released this. Yeah. I got asked to do an ADHD podcast called ADHD Chatter, which is like this huge ADHD podcast. And I was watching it for research, and then this RSD thing comes up, and I was like, Rude boy,
that's that.
I was like, is that what happened to me?
Yeah, for real.
Is that what happened to me?
I thought that when I was reading it.
I got rattled to a different extent. And some people, there were some people who would be like, men, I say it in the book, a couple of men would say to me, oh, bro, just get drunk and shag some other women.
Yeah.
And then I remember being like, you just don't actually understand how much this is hurting. Like, I was down. But I do think that it was a mixture of that, RSD, and also the fact that I've been running from, at some point you have to process the feelings. Yeah. And I've been running from all types of feelings for a long time. And I think even if you don't have RSD, as men especially, I really do believe when you hear about men with dodgy knees, dodgy backs, dodgy shoulders, all of this stuff, and they're like struggling to, all these like illnesses that pop up in the later years, I really do believe a lot of that. And obviously I'm not qualified to make an assumption, but I have heard people suggest things similar to this. A lot of that is just all this suppressed
feelings.
I hear that. Do you know what I definitely hear that still.
100%.
Because one thing I learned, I talk about when I talk about the bridge, that emotional trauma retreat I went to, the biggest takeaway from that was that emotion is like literally a physical thing. And I realized in that moment that a small part of me still believed that what I was told when I was younger, that you can just avoid it. Like it was just something that disappeared. I didn't realise it was getting stored inside my body.
Ready to come out.
Yeah.
Well, wanting to come out.
Yeah, literally.
But I hear it.
Because when you're stressed, you're more...
Tense.
But your cortisol's up, innit?
stiff,
The
innit?
stress hormone, cortisol.
Yeah.
I think if it sticks around long enough, it can be quite
mash you up, innit?
I mentioned earlier, I did a podcast with Annie,
Yeah.
And it was like, it was just the timing. It was like, it was COVID, everyone's at home. I just spoke honest about my mental health journey or whatever. And I think it kind of landed in a time. And then it was like, after that, everyone was calling ADHD like trendy. And like, I've heard a few comments and that about it, which I understand, because when something's kind of like rolling into popular culture, it's easy to think that. Like 90% of people who come through this door have these traits.
Yeah.
Because music people generally kind of...
It's like a magnetic thing.
You got something going on.
Yeah, and it's like, right, funny, because yesterday someone was talking about something that was very aligned to that. And these are like all different walks of life. And I think it's easy to presume X, Y, Z or but it's really more just the fact that I think in my circle of life, I'm quite in an echo chamber of this brain wiring.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a place that is in the box, I actually feel super uncomfortable. So for example, if I go to like a corporate space or somewhere where you've got to act in the box, because I'm so used to the comfort of people like yourselves who are similar in a sense, I feel super uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that must be the reverse for people who don't necessarily understand this energy.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think that's why it's
I can definitely hear that.
Yeah. And I
think people might be like overwhelmed by like, I don't know, like maybe imagine like being in a room of like people like, you know what I mean? Some people might be like, this is too much for me.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. But like how old were you when your quote unquote diagnosis came along?
So I was twice, one when I was 15 and then the second time I was 26, I think.
Right, and it was like school like super hard with focus and stuff. Was that what G'd that on?
I didn't like school. I didn't get along with it. Didn't make sense to me. I realised quite quickly, well, not quite, about midway through school, I realised that anything I wanted to achieve, I could probably do it outside of school, because I knew that my interests were all in spaces that I could build myself. So like music, writing, I knew I could go home and I could work on that. Actually, my first breakthrough was because I taught myself graphic design and started leveraging the graphic design work to get studio time, and then my paper round, all that kind of stuff. Just all I was focused on was studio when I was younger. But so what happened was I was in an IT class, which I ended up getting a U on in GCSE, which actually means unmarkable.
Incredible.
So that's below an F. I didn't even know that was the thing.
Yeah, well done.
But I ended up doing graphic design, so that shows you how much those things make sense. But I was so distracted in this IT class that I found a website that listed the traits of ADHD and said, if you have more than 25 of these 30 traits, you know, you've got ADHD. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. So I showed my mum, and then my mum was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then we spoke to like the school, and then this thing called CAMS, which is like the child's, I don't know how to, child's
like,
health, children's
like
health and medical.
That child's like therapy thing that they make you go to.
It's like a medical, I actually can't remember what it stands for, but they then did this thing called a Connors report where they went and interviewed people in my school, like, not that deep, like just like a little checklist. And then, I got given a diagnosis, but I didn't do anything about it. I got given a counsellor, and then I got given extra time in my GCSEs, and that was it really. And I still missed all my targets. I was just like, it wasn't for me. It really wasn't for me. But luckily my mum installed enough belief in me that I don't ever remember being like crippled by my exam result. I don't remember being like, oh God. I remember thinking, cool, let me just keep going. Yeah, a little bit. I didn't do badly, by the way. I did that. I think I got loads of B's.
Did you try though?
I couldn't. I tried as well as I could in that, like, the exams were a lot.
Yeah.
Like everything I'd learned, being focused on this hour and a half, just fundamentally didn't make sense to me. Coursework I liked.
Really?
And I think about that generally, like in life, for example, I don't understand why we get given driving tests either. And like, surely you would just have a moderator like teach you how to drive, and then once they're comfortable you can drive, they just give you the license.
Right.
The fact that people can be learning for however long, and then it comes down to some random guy. I mean, listen, if we went into the deep, there's probably reasons as to why, but it just, again, conceptually doesn't make sense to me that a pressurized situation is where someone can be
like make or break for them, innit?
Yeah.
Like there's a philosopher called Alan Watts, and he says this in one of his talks. He says like, if you're learning French, the reward is that you know French.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you either know French or you don't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like an A star in French. Like, and then people will just do the thing and then forget it. They'll revise and then forget. You know, you want to learn history so you can know history. Like you want to know. That's how we should be looking at it. Not like giving people up a good feeling and a bad feeling.
Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get that.
So yeah, I didn't get down with school like that. But you know, if I had my way, I'd completely reprogram school.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Bro, do you know what I've been thinking recently? Yeah, about when I do have kids, if I'm even gonna send them to school, innit? Like if I've got the time and I can, then I'll probably like try and teach them myself, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
For what reasons particularly?
Because I don't like. Do you know what it is? I feel like this is gonna sound a bit like conspiracy-ish, yeah, but I think that the whole school system, it just it sends people out in the world and makes them it programs them to how they want us to be. Do you know what I mean?
Facts.
So like I'm just like maybe I feel like my kids can like learn in a better way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even though like obviously like school does give you lots of people skills, which I think is like one of the main things that you need in life. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the social element is massive.
You need to be able to like deal with people, deal with lots of different types of people.
Well, not for everyone though. If you go to private school, you're in an echo chamber of that class. And then when you go outside properly, you're probably a bit confused.
Yeah, but then
that's specific though, yeah.
Lots of private school people, like, I don't know, innit, like, that I've come across, there's been less people who go private school who I would like integrate with, innit?
Yeah, true.
Even
That's
though,
the point.
even though I have met like loads of them, like it's not like less because I didn't go to private school.
No, not at all, but society is set up in that sense, right? So like if you go to private school, right, you are in this like more quote unquote elite space from when you're like 4 and you kind of stay up there. So then you're not necessarily going to be integrating with ground level people as much as someone in a state school, right?
Yeah.
And you're right though to pick up on that, I think. With the social element, like I always did think that the world is still a playground. Like as an adult, I can confidently, you know, tell anybody, ask it. Yeah, it's the same rules really as the playground. Yeah, it's just people are in suits and shit.
You know what? Yeah,
it is though. Like the same gangs, the same whatever, the hierarchy, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. Like the one thing I come up against a lot in discussion about boys, for example, is when we're talking about schooling, people complain about bullying. Yeah, and that one I struggle with a little bit because obviously everything's on a spectrum, and extreme bullying, like life-altering, like scars for life bullying, of course, that's fucking unacceptable. Yeah. But I personally am thankful that I was bullied, especially in London. Mm-hmm. I got bullied a lot. I went to a school in Neasden, near Dollis Hill, and I used to get bullied for being smart. I don't even know how they ascertained that. I don't know. I can't remember doing anything like particularly like nerdy. Yeah, I actually can't remember.
Probably a bit more academic.
I don't know how, but anyway, I think, I don't know. But regardless, I got pushed about, I got punched, I got, beaten up, whatever. But it wasn't like mad, but part of me feels like I built like a kind of level of resilience.
Yeah,
for the real world.
That's the thing though, like.
And people bully you. You come out of school.
It's character building, bro.
And you get bullied.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, do you ever see like come across people, and they're just like, it's always the people who's kind of like pompous and that. I'm just looking at them, I'm like, bro, you've never been punched in the face, innit? You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that someone's never been punched in their face before.
Yeah. So you're saying some people needed to have been bullied. Yeah, I hear that.
Not bullied, but like, I don't know, just get told about themselves a little bit, bro. Do you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, there's definitely people who avoided the consequence of their bullshit, 100%. But I think the lesson it taught me, which is what I try and say, to not like condone it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you get a parent coming in and they're like, my kid's literally getting beats every day. And I'm just like, yeah. But I'm saying, in my opinion, and obviously it's difficult to say this with our current political situation, but in my opinion, based on my values, the bullies actually never win. They never win.
Yeah.
Even if they give the appearance of winning, it's not, because there's something that's lost in them that they can't get back.
Something that's making them do these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when I think of those,
it's like a lot of the quote unquote bullies from my school. I don't even know what they are.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
King of the playground is you never want to be that. Bro, you never want to be that, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear it.
I proper give thanks as well for my upbringing in terms of like being around so many people, because it just sets you up for this. That's what I'm saying about that elite system. Like, I don't think, not to go on a tangent, but the private school system, which I categorically disagree with anyway, like you get put in situations and you just don't know how to handle it. That's the point, because you never got told X, Y, Z. I think a lot of the people who need not that I'm condoning it, you say like need a slap in the face, like 95% of the music industry do come from that world. And that's why they act mental to us. And we're like, what are you now? Right? So yeah, that being said, so then schooling that, and then you've got another diagnosis at 21, did you say?
Sorry, 25.
25.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what sprung that on?
I had to get given a psych exam for a TV show. I had to do an evaluation, and they asked me if I had anything. Well, actually, I was self-medicating at the time on this thing called modafinil, which is like, I was basically taking way too much of it. I didn't realize because obviously I was self-medicating. And so obviously, well, not obviously, but as part of this challenge, they needed to know if I was on medication. So I was like, yeah, I'm taking this shit, modafinil. And they went, oh, okay, cool. That sounds all good, but we just need to get it checked over. So I went and got this examination, and the guy said, yeah, I mean, you've definitely got ADHD. I couldn't find my Connors report, but he obviously recognized it. Or maybe I did find it. And then, yeah, when I told him how much modafinil I was taking, he was like a bit taken aback by that. And so he gave me a proper prescription. And then that was kind of my reassessment. And that was private because it was going through a TV production company, which was fucking great.
Amazing. So you see, what's it called again, that thing you were self-medicating on?
Modafinil.
Modafinil. How did you discover that?
My mate told me about it. He was a hacker. If you want to know about any like underground drugs, just speak to hackers. They're
The
on
dark web
smoke.
business.
Yeah,
Is that
they're
what it
on
is?
smoke.
Yeah, no, the dark web
No, you
thing's
don't
mad.
need the dark web to get it. But it's like a lot of these guys are you know, people who are into coding, into that, you know, world of like deep web shit.
Yeah.
They're up for a long time. They're like about this, like, you know, they're really
Days.
they're wired.
Yeah.
So like anything that's a stimulant or an upper or an amphetamine, like they know about it. So he was just saying like, oh yeah, I knew a few of my guys. Like for example, in Silicon Valley, you know, the people we rely on for our technology, doing all types of shit to, you know, they'll be microdosing acid, they'll be taking speed, they'll be all just to see where they could go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this was the suggestion, this was the recommendation, but I didn't ask him how much to take. So yeah, I was taking like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times the dose I was needing to take. But you know, I got a load done.
You know, when I read about that bit, yeah, I was kind of like, because you was talking about how you was like writing bare quick and all this shit.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe like I should try it one time. innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just see how I'd write my bars, innit? Yeah. But one time I'd try to take, because obviously I'm not diagnosed, innit, with ADHD, but I'd like, got pretty much like...
I'm going to unofficially diagnose you right here, right now, knowing you.
I do think that's the thing, like I've like basically just self-diagnosed myself, innit?
Yeah.
Because I've done one of them online things as well, when I've gone through and I'm just like, this is me, I don't even have to do the rest of this, bro. This is me. Do you know what I mean? And then my ex-girl, she's got ADHD like as well, innit? So like she used to get prescribed medication for it. I think it's Ritalin, something like that. And one time I had a studio session and I just tried one, innit? Before the session, and because I forgot I had the session and I was like, oh shit, I got to go to studio. I sat there for 5 hours and I didn't write nothing.
Oh, there you go.
Zoned out.
Yeah, it was
Did
weird.
you feel a bit out of your body?
Yeah, I just felt
that sounds like she's on a strong
I felt
dose.
like my brain wasn't really working how it usually
Yeah, but I
does.
trialed it
There
for
was
a bit.
like the creative side of it was just like,
I trialed it for a
interesting.
bit, right? And it was too intense because it like hit this sweet spot where I felt really still and like happy. And then it just go into this like
further.
gurney.
Yeah.
And then-
That's too much. You were taking too.
I
It's
know
too
that's
strong.
what I said, but my doctor then we went and they said split the capsules and just do lower doses.
Yeah.
And we tried it for ages. It was right funny because I had to put it in yogurt and eat it. So I had to break the capsule, put it in yogurt. It was proper like recreational values of the thing. But like I had a studio session once when I was trialing it and I was proper gurning and that. And I had an artist with me and he's a dancehall artist as well. And it's like I didn't want to let on that I was trialing like medical chemicals. So I was trying to hold it in the session. And he's like, but it didn't work for me either. But for some people, I presume for yourself, does it help you focus? Like whatever.
Take the call if you want, man.
I
You
don't
good?
want to take the call.
It's not urgent.
No, I was
Turning it down. I've had a weird one with meds. Yeah, I'm trying to think to the extent of which I should.
Because the ideology with a stimulant is it tops your dopamine up, right? To a base level that most neurotypical brains have so that you don't get lost.
It's actually.
Is that what it is?
There's 2 things.
Okay, go.
There's that, because the reward center, there's something to do with that sustains dopamine. But I heard, and I've said this a lot recently, so hopefully this isn't wrong. The most common thing that confuses people is that why are you taking speed if you're hyper?
Exactly.
Right? So the science there is, there's a part of our brain called the executive functioning part of the brain that organizes things, thoughts, plans, and the neurons to that part of the brain are under firing. So you take the speed, it speeds that, like for everyone, the neurons are sped up, but for us, it hits the executive functioner, which actually tells us to calm down. So then it goes like, oh, cool, and then you settle, which is why a load of people with ADHD realize they've got ADHD when they do cocaine, a lot of the time, because they'll be like life of the party until they do like 4 lines of Charlie. I know that just rhymed anyway. and then suddenly they're quiet, they're focused.
Yeah,
they're like this, they're zoned in.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking that's just, you know.
That's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
A lot of, it's
People gets you charged.
common bit of feedback there, because it's like, and then also people with undiagnosed ADHD or perhaps they're not aware of it, 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day. It's all the same thing. Nicotine.
Yeah, man.
With nicotine.
Bro, coffee is
Yeah,
mad.
coffee. But nicotine, they're about to release a nicotine-based ADHD treatment.
Really?
Yeah, because aside of the fact it's ridiculously addictive and obviously cancerous, the actual other part of the fucking nicotine, I don't know, you know, the chemical component genuinely is yes, it aids focus. I've heard about doctors, like heart surgeons who still smoke because they rely on the focus from the nicotine,
Yeah,
but it's
well,
actually
it's a stimulant,
killing them.
isn't it? Nicotine.
Yeah.
It does stimulate.
Now, do you know, I've realised with the whole like drugs thing and that, they're like, with the uppers and downers thing, I don't know what it is, but like as you said, like people who are more like on the going party thing, they prefer like uppers, and like it's more like the people who are like kind of, I don't know, just outgoing and that, like extroverts and that, there's on one, innit? Do you know what I mean? And then I kind of look, like I had a think like recently, like most of my friends are kind of like that, innit?
Yeah.
And most of them kind of like prefer uppers, innit? And the ones that are kind of more chilled than that, they like the downers and that, but it's weird, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
you're going
like,
the other way. It's a
you get
reflection.
me?
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Well, then
Like-
people do
like
say
a
that.
reflection of like your personality, and that, yeah.
Do you smoke weed?
Not anymore. No, I've like basically I started smoking weed when I was like 12, innit?
Yeah.
And I stopped when I was.
think same,
I
actually.
stopped when I turned. I stopped when I turned 20, innit? Because I realised that I just wasn't myself anymore. Like I was. Like,
Oh, you're really bunning?
yeah, like I felt like
Like a lot of, like a few a day?
like more than a few.
Really?
Me and my brethren was just
They're going bang, bang,
Non stop.
Yeah.
smoking. Do you know what I mean?
Vibes, yeah.
That was for years as well. Like I realised there hadn't been a day for like years,
Years when you weren't stoned.
where
Yeah,
I haven't been smoking. And then like I just realised I was just so paranoid, like to the point I started thinking I hated London, innit? Because of certain things that's like happened that's like just made me think like, really, like, it's just dangerous out here. And like I couldn't walk down my own road without thinking like, man, I'm gonna get shot or some shit, like mistaken identity and shit like that. So I was just like, bro, this is mad. And then one time I think I had like some kind of like panicky, like attacky vibe, bro. I don't know, I just started getting overwhelmed.
So you
by
need something
shit.
to change.
And I kind of got back to my gaff, and like my mum and my sister were speaking to me, and they was like, maybe just try to stop smoking weed for a few days. And I was like, oh, I never thought of that ever. Do you know what I mean? And then like I done it.
What a blessing though to be offered that as feedback from the people in your home, bro.
Of course. But like, I done it for like 2-3 days, and I was like, raw, like I feel like me, innit? I feel like I was just in a fog for so many years. You know what I mean? And then after that few days, like it turned into like a week or two, and then when I tried to smoke weed again, like my tolerance had obviously gone down a bit, and it was just frying me off. And then I just kept literally, it kind of connected all the bad thoughts that I have about it, which I realised by not smoking weed.
Yeah.
So when I smoked, I was so aware of
stepping back into that space.
Of kind of like being like, oh, now I knew it was making me paranoid. Now it's making me extra paranoid because I'm aware that it's making me paranoid. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting.
And I'm sitting there with my friends thinking, wow, you're chatting shit about me or something like, man, I'm looking at me weird or something. Like, bro, it gets me now. Like,
fully.
I even took a couple tokes of a spliff the other day and it got me, bro.
If I had one
Like,
toke
it
on a
ruined my
spliff here
day.
now, I'd go home.
Yeah.
I do a
Literally,
pen
I'm not going
sometimes
out
at night.
Yeah.
It's just a pen, yeah, but only at night.
Yeah,
it just sets me to
yeah.
sleep.
In fact, I got some gummies actually recently from Slovenia, believe it or not.
Really?
It's legalised there.
Gummies I've got to be careful with.
Yeah, just a little nibbles at night, just to smooth it off. But actually, toking, I just get the fear. I was the same. I was bunning through it thinking, it's going to be good again, and then it just never returned. And then one day I was like, nah, this ain't the one.
Sometimes you got to go there to come back and then leave. That's good though. It's a good strength.
No,
Can I ask something
very
just
good.
while it's on my mind? If you've got this this kind of support system at your house where your mum and your sister and your best friend is female,
Yeah.
but you said that you feel like you got bad karma in love because you done some women wrong.
Yeah.
How's that happening? If you've been raised and supported by female energy,
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I don't like. Do you know what it is? Cool. Like in my relationships, I don't know. I've always just had a bit of a fuck it mentality with life, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which like recently I feel like I've kind of it's slowed down a bit, but I'm still like
That's normal. I mean, what you say 22?
21.
21, yeah, bro, 21.
Younger.
Everyone's got a fucking mentality.
No, but do you know what it is? I don't know, man. I was just
Is it just
the
that-
temptation thing was just bad for man, bro. Like do you know what it is? And also when I'm out and about, because I'm pretty much always out and about, bro. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm out, like I'm just like, bruv, like I'm young, innit? Like,
It's just a commitment
I'm
thing.
thinking, oh, like if I think back when I'm old and that, like I didn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, yeah, man.
See, the thing is, yeah, this comes up a lot, especially with boys. Like, you know, I did the thing the other day. I was talking about teenage boys because there was this kind of thing of something's going wrong with da-da-da. And I was there personally being like, when I'm looking at these stories, when I was a teenager, we were awful. Like boys and girls were awful, bro. Horrendous people. Like saying and doing horrendous shit.
Yeah.
Like, and the only difference I see is, of course, firstly you can publicize it. Secondly, there's new things like cyberbullying and shit, which does suck. Like, but we were actively searching for the worst aspects of humanity, like online, like from the little resource we had. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to find a much more balanced way of looking at it. Like, for example, when you're saying this to me, yeah, like I've been through what you've gone through, yeah. Like I was when I reached a certain level of success as a 19-year-old boy, 20-year-old boy, I felt like I was weird when I was a teenager. I felt like I was a bit out of place. So suddenly got this newfound social currency, and female attention to me was like super validating. Like the fact that anyone wanted to sleep with me, any of that stuff, I was gassed. To the point where like, and this is where I'm trying to find balance here, like, I wouldn't turn around and say like, nah, bro, you can't be lit like, 21 years old, you got to get switched up. Nah, we all have to experiment. But the middle bit is like, what would I have said to myself when I was that age? I would have said, yeah, you got to have experiences and feel as though you've utilized your energy correctly. But I think at certain points, I could have made better decisions on a few, do you know what I mean? On a few things where like, I think, casual sex is a thing. Casual sex with someone I barely know and put myself in a situation where that shit's gonna bite me in the future. That's where I wish I'd maybe had an elder turn to me and go like,
Maybe
look,
don't do that, yeah.
yeah, maybe not ready for a relationship, fine. But like, make sure you're not making like dumb connections with people who aren't gonna.
I'm not doing anything with you, or like, you're just there, I hear you.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like a meeting of energies. Do you feel that? Or?
No, do you know, at the moment, I don't really feel that, innit? Like, but like for me, anyway, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes,
It's just reckless.
like, yeah, sometimes it's a recce thing and it's fun, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? But obviously I get that, like, not knowing someone and engaging in that shit with people, with them, like, it can kind of be a bit, like even dangerous at sometimes.
Yeah,
Like,
sometimes.
You never know what someone's going to come out with and shit like that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a new gen thing. That's a new gen.
No, like, it's
model.
mad. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And like things like that, that's especially with like music and that, like being in the public eye. It's
Right,
like,
big time.
Like that's one thing that I definitely think about in it. But for me, also, it's like one thing I do think like about me is that I won't have sex with a girl who I don't like, couldn't chill with. If I couldn't chill with you for the whole night,
What if she's flanged though?
yeah, probably, innit? But obviously, do you know what it is?
Nah, I hear this,
I
I
would
hear
struggle
this.
to get to the point where I'm like,
Where you can even get to
yeah,
that
because
place.
it's like cool. Obviously, you got to chat up a girl and that, like, to be able to do that, innit? So it's like, what am I chatting with you for so long about? Like, if I can't chill with you, do you know
But
what I mean?
that's already,
That's emotional
for me,
connection.
Do you get me?
that's growth.
It's like-
For me
Yeah.
personally, that's generational growth.
Yeah.
That-
I hear it.
But that's not,
Because I wouldn't think
it's
that.
not like that for everyone. Like, bearing my brethren are like
on
they're just outside. You know
Yeah,
what
bro,
I'm
the
saying?
outside thing is great. I had an awakening with that when I was like 24. I was like, no.
What was
you know,
the
I feel like that's
awakening?
what
What
happened with the
happened?
thing.
Were you just an amalgamation of
Do
experience?
you want me to be 100% real?
Let's go.
Well, obviously. Do you want me to lie? Let me lie quick. Nah, it was that I just didn't think the sex was that good.
Fair enough.
I just being straight up, like I was just upon review, I was thinking back and thinking, oh man, I don't really know. This is why I'm saying it's growth from you, because there were situations where I'll be awake with someone who I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't be able to chill with them.
Yeah.
And then there were other times where I'd actually built these friendships with these girls. I mean, I've always been friends with women and girls because I had a similar vibe. Like I had a strong female network when I was a kid. Interestingly, similar to you, somehow that didn't socialize into me being able to like have a solid relationship with. But obviously I got famous quite young, so that also just threw shit into the fucking fan. But I had these girl mates, And then a couple of times that friendship became more than friendship. And I was like, rah, this is actually the experience of having sex felt better because I knew the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems silly now saying that in hindsight, but for me at the time, that was a revelation. Because it was like you said, I'm not worrying about the next day. I'm not worrying about what, and if I feel like I've got a vibe with them, that is the truest form of consent. Knowing that this is actually a person I would.
Yeah,
I'd
we
hang
know
with.
each other, like, do you know what I'm saying?
So all the other worry isn't even, well, within, you'd like to believe most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Do you know, like, I feel like with the whole the relationship things, how I've acted in relationships, I feel like a lot of it's to do with like, not like how my friends are, but like like the kind of people I'm with when I'm outside and that, do you know what I'm saying, this and that. And like, I feel like with my first relationship, like my friends in relationships as well, we was all just being like stupid with it, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? So it was like, if we're gonna take the fall, like, do you know what I'm saying? I could call my brother to be like, alright, do you know what I'm saying?
What, you're taking as in?
No, not take the fall, but like, if so, like, I could call my brother and be like, oh,
what,
tell her this, underneath. Like, he's going with the story.
What's it called?
They're going with the story, you know what I mean?
What's it called?
I don't know, but it's like an alliance of...
No, it's like with the police, like the fucking, you got to be alibi.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Here's a question I've got, right? It's I find it interesting when talking about the struggling to commit. Again, your age, arguably, I mean, my first relationship was fucking wild, bro. Yeah, so that's a story for another time. But with this, with the book, the rights to the book got bought, so like a production company still want to, or wanted to, or there's all types of shit in the air. TV show, film, just ideas, right? Yeah. And then I'm writing this script version of the book, and something really interesting was said. Obviously now I'm engaging with people who have their own experiences of drugs, infidelity, like therapy. Everyone's got their own shit, and it's difficult for them to not bring it to the table. I wrote one bit where I was trying to really push this idea of ADHD. Sorry, tell a lie. I was having these meetings while I was writing the book. So the book wasn't even out yet. I was writing the book and the script at the same time. I send them, I like do the script, and at the same time, my editor's going, yo, this book's a lot about ADHD. I didn't realize that was gonna be a big theme in it. And I was like, okay, let me push some of that into the TV show. In the TV show, one of the people turned around and said, I'm not sure about this ADHD thing. Like, you're making it sound like you're excusing the fact you cheated because you had ADHD. Right. So that was, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just sat, and I've never actually said this to anyone, but when I heard that, a part of me was like, again, does anybody talk about if there's a connection between like the fact, it's not an excuse, it's just like I have ADHD and I made an impulsive decision. Would it be a stretch?
Yeah. I think it's definitely part of
I don't think it would be a stretch, but then it's
not an excuse.
No, not an excuse.
It's not an excuse, but you're seeing if there's a connection.
Would you? Okay, here's a better example. Yeah. If you don't have a partner now, do you? No. Obviously, it's a bit different now. We're older. You've had an incredible scenario with your wonderful partner, wife.
Wifey, boy.
I was at the wedding. Annie's a fucking G.
Annie,
she's like Queen Annie.
Annie is the biggest G, man. We love Annie, man.
But like, if our respective partners, if you have an imaginary partner, had ADHD and then made a mistake, would we have more consideration for the mistake on the basis that they had ADHD? That's the question.
Woof.
Well, just the thing is,
big question.
Now that you've said it, because obviously I had never made that connection before, innit?
Yeah.
I'd probably think about it, but I'd still be vexed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, still be vexed. It's not to not be vexed.
But just give them a little bit, I don't know, just take it into consideration. That basically what you're saying.
If I've seen something, the way I look at it, obviously.
It depends what they've done, innit? Like, obviously.
It's such a big topic because everyone hates talking about cheating.
If they cheated on, man.
Uncomfy, innit?
The thing is, that's the thing. I've never been cheated on.
Yeah.
Well, not from my knowledge anyway. No.
I've been cheated on.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's
when I was young, when I was about 18, I got cheated on. Was
it rough?
I can't imagine it, bro. Do you know how vexed that would make me, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
Vexed,
I would be like, so, I don't know, innit? Like, but the thing, that's
I was vexed, but I think comparatively to how emotion feels now, I didn't. Like, I don't think you're hitting. Anyway, carry on.
You know, I was gonna say, like, that's why, like, even when I did sit with my ex and what she was saying to me is about things that happened.
Yeah.
I just started to feel so bad for bare shit that I've done, and I'm like, bro, in hindsight, like, I've never really even thought about like
her perspective,
how I'd feel in these situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
the
you know what I'm
reverse.
saying? You kind of make someone look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
You?
Mate,
you? Oh, making the girl look like an idiot. Yeah, I mean, that's the respect thing is a huge thing.
Especially if, like, do you know what I'm saying? Especially like people like who know her and that is knowing shit that's going on and that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but I feel like that's one thing. That's why I said I thought I had bad love karma, innit? Because I feel like one day I'm just gonna get cheated on, and it's gonna be like.
And you're gonna feel it.
Yeah,
No, but you can't
do
think
you know
like
what
that.
I mean?
You can't think like that.
No,
You
but
can't
the
think
thing
like
is, I
that.
feel like it will happen to me at some point. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
don't know why.
it should happen in your 20s, ideally.
I think what we should do is when that happens, we come back and do part 2.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, it did happen.
But listen, this is the thing I've said. This is the thing I've been saying a lot recently because I really believe it. I actually think, in this world, there's a lot of challenges, of course, and as men, I guess we find ourselves more concerned with material challenges, like goal, career challenges, which will hurt if they don't go well. Obviously, rejection, I don't think there's anything braver in the world ever, anything harder than having your heart broken and then loving again. That I think is the single strongest for any man, woman, and I think a lot of men, it's so painful. We can't even
Comprehend it.
we can't live in fear. Like, we can't live in fear of the fact that somebody
is going to
cheat or break our hearts.
Yeah.
We have to live with the knowledge that we would survive it if it happens.
Okay, I hear that. No, that's a good. Do you know?
And that's why I feel like it's important to have the heart broken.
Yeah, because then you can rebound.
Yeah, you
from
can
it.
re-heal.
Like, I've decided recently, after like me and my last girlfriend broke up I'd say nearly a year ago now. But then that's because I decided that during that relationship I'd learned so much about myself that I just kind of needed time to myself. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like right now I feel like I'm unavailable, innit? I'm not emotionally available right now. That's what I'd say, innit? But I decided that I'm not going to be in a relationship for a long time because until I'm ready, until I feel like that I could go out and not.
I should give somebody what they need.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Until I think I could go out and not do some madness, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? But then. I don't know. I feel like when I say I'm not emotionally available, it's not true because, as I said, I can't really have sex with no one who I don't
No,
like.
it's different in a relationship.
An emotional connection, but like
Yeah.
like the person or do you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like either way, I'm gonna start liking someone when I fuck them a certain type of at a certain amount of time. Then it's like I just put it to the back of my mind, innit? I'm like, yeah, listen.
But do you feel like in the future?
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get in a relationship.
Do you want that in the future though?
What, a relationship?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
do you know what? I love love, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? There's nothing like being in love with a
You've
girl.
always
Do you know
been
what
in
I'm saying? And them loving you back.
You were saying that to me before, no?
Yeah, pretty much. I had a little spree of the muckiness.
Yeah.
And it was similar to you. It was like when you zoom out, we're a bit rubbish. Exciting though, young person. I'm similar to you. It's like I was not particularly popular out, and then I had a bit of a buzz, and then a peg yell. I'm like, yo, this is sick. But then the reality of it's slightly different. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky, man. I feel like I have so many people around me who have had rocky relationships, and with children as well. This is a different thing. It's really testing in relationships.
Yeah.
And
you guys seem to have dealt with this shit
Yeah,
pretty
I'm
well.
really lucky, man. Obviously, it's never perfect, but it's a blessing. And I give thanks because I love the stability of that. Some people don't, they operate in like chaos and it makes them feel happy or calm. I'm very much the opposite. I like my bass and stuff like that. So
Did you know that this like, because I'm guessing from the stability of your relationship, you have that feeling, what I feel now in a relationship, which I want all boys and men to know, is there's this foundation that comes with a love, like a mutual love, and there's no worry, there's no escape plans. We can't tell the future, but the feeling is amazing. Yeah. I didn't know it existed. Did you feel like you knew it existed before Annie, or was that like a real wake up?
I think because it's the longest term relationship I ever had, when you're in a certain point of it and it's normalised that feeling and you're not looking elsewhere or thinking that it's going to crumble, that's when you subconsciously feel more calm.
Like, wow.
Yeah, it was the earlier ones were like, I was so thought that they were so fit.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, the weight fit.
Rather
than actually being...
You're focusing on an A-step, bro. That's the same thing.
I
actually think that's a real bad sign.
Yeah.
When you're constantly thinking of look how this person looks. No. How do you feel?
Exactly. So before that, it was all based on that. But like that root, that anchor that I've got in my house and my family is priceless. I say, like with my kids and that, I have to get up every day to take them to school. And naturally, I wouldn't get up and get out of the house that earlier because it's just not my vibe to get up and out. And that alone is like so important for my routine and my mental state. Routine I find really important for this vibration.
But you got the best routine I've than you and that.
Oh, mate, but when the kids start, my oldest is walking to school.
Yeah.
When my other one starts walking to school, I might have to get a dog, bro. Yeah. Just to pull me out of the house.
Definitely get a dog.
Yeah, there's big dog talk in this.
Definitely
this book's
get a
amazing.
dog.
This book is so good. He even read it, right? And he don't really read. Jordan, thanks for the honesty. Thanks for the strength.
Have we? Yeah, so I forgot we're even in a podcast.
No, yeah, no, that's the reason. That's what we do here. We have
Steeze Factory, let's go. LZee.
That's what we're doing here. We have great conversations. I wanted to put it on camera. Factory works. LZee, Jordan Stevens.
Come on.
No sun this time. Big up yourself. Go get it. Honestly, it's super fun. It's super informative. And it's a very individual read, as you said, the way you've written it like that. Factory works. Big up this end.
Come on.
Cheers.